Hello and welcome to Starside Chat, episode 22. I am your host, Zach Owens, and joining me is my co-host, Aaron Capo.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going well. We were talking right before the podcast, and seems like both of us have had good weeks. I got a new job at a video rental store that I start tomorrow, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, that seems like it would be pretty fun, actually. I've always kind of wanted to work a part-time job there, but
I think it'll be similar maybe to when I worked at the movie theater, where there's just a lot of like chatting about movies, which I don't get in my regular life. Or we really only talk about movies on this podcast sometimes. So yeah. I'll be excited to have some other people interested in films.
Yeah, that's why. So I mentioned this like when we were talking before we started recording, but when I initially got out of my first round of college, I got a job at a locally owned, essentially a GameStop competitor that's like locally owned, specifically because I thought until I find something different, like this will just be like a fun thing to like hang out and talk about games and stuff. And now we get to do that on this very show.
It's true. Should we get to the news?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of news this week. So first up, there are rumors that a YouTube app is coming to the Nintendo Switch very soon.
Now, would you use this?
I don't know. I probably don't need to, but like if I was traveling, I would. I feel like just because the Switch's screen is bigger than my phone.
Yeah.
But it seems weird. Like I've said from the start, from the Switch's launch, that it was really weird that it didn't already have apps like YouTube and Spotify and basically like all the essential streaming apps like Hulu and Netflix and Amazon Prime. Like none of those are on there. And if like this is a sort of a thing that's supposed to compete at the same time with like mobile gaming devices like an iPad, but also like home console like the Xbox and the PlayStation 4, and literally any of those that you look at, they've all got like YouTube and Netflix apps. They've got all of it. And this like sort of strangely just doesn't have any of them. I guess they have a Hulu app, but they don't have anything else, which is weird. So, like, You would think it would have to have it. Like, I don't know if I would use it a lot, but it should definitely have it.
Yeah, I don't know. I get, like, PlayStation 4 and Xbox are, you know, in addition to games, they're also media, because you can, you know, put Blu-rays in them and stuff, and there is an appeal to not having to change your input on your TV to always just have, like,
well, and the Wii had them all as well.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I mean, you can't really put Blu-rays in a Switch, and I don't know if I want, like, if I was traveling, it's one thing to, like, watch YouTube videos on my phone, but I don't know if I want to drain the battery of the thing that I can play Zelda on to watch, like, a YouTube video.
Yeah, that's a good point, but you also kind of have to think of this like a DS, essentially. So, like, the kids out there. Like, if you had kids and you bought them a Switch, like, this was their one console, like, you'll get them the Nintendo thing, they may not have like an iPad. I guess like all the kids have iPads these days, but like, like say they wanted a console or they wanted like a mobile gaming platform, they would probably like to have YouTube and Netflix on it, right? I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just me, but I feel like it's not essential because not everyone's gonna use the Switch as their like all-in-one device the way people might be using their PS4 or their Xbox as sort of their like the centerpiece to their entertainment center. And yeah, you're right, you can't put a DVD or a Blu-ray in it, but a lot of people do streaming anyway. I don't know.
It also doesn't really have online. I mean, it has Wi-Fi, but I guess if you're connected to Wi-Fi, you would be able to watch Netflix or something. But generally, it's an offline device.
I don't know that I've ever not had my Switch connected to Wi-Fi.
Yeah? Well, I mean, people who, like, play it on the bus and whatnot or on an airplane.
Yeah, but I mean, Netflix and YouTube have made it so that you can, like, download stuff.
That's a good point.
And also, like, especially if you knew you were traveling, like a couple of years ago, I went with my family on a trip, and I specifically took my tablet that I never use, so that I could like watch a season of Game of Thrones, because I was in the middle of like rewatching the entire series, and I didn't want to stop for however long we were going to be on vacation. And I also had we were like going to have a long car drive, so I was like, well, I need something. So I like downloaded an entire season to my tablet so that I could keep watching the show like during my vacation. I feel like people could do that with the Switch as well.
That's a good point, yeah.
And I don't know, since you're not actually like playing anything, I wonder how quickly that would drain the battery.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I guess we'll see. I mean, I feel like I would not ever use this, but I guess there is a use case for it.
Well, and think about it too, like your dock's not super big. You could probably like connect this up in like a hotel room, and you've essentially kind of like a Chromecast that you just like take with you, but you can also game on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. We probably wouldn't use it that much, but I feel like it's one of those, it's just sort of a quality of life feature that should basically be on all consoles. So it'll be nice to have the option, even if we don't make a lot of use out of it.
For sure.
Moving on, apparently Brie Larson wants to play Samus Aran in a movie, and people want that to happen. This is a thing that like happened on Twitter. I think around Halloween, she had like dressed up as Samus Aran. I'm not quite sure I know the full story of this, but the idea of like a Metroid film with Brie Larson as the main character seems kind of cool to me.
What is the plot of Metroid? I know that you're a bounty hunter and you go to a planet, and then Ridley is the bad guy. But is Ridley just a monster, or is he's a space pirate? So does he have some sort of sentience? He looks like just a mix between a pterodactyl and an alien from Aliens.
I mean, you know probably about as much of the lore of Metroid as I do. I didn't grow up playing the Metroid games, but they've always looked cool to me. And I've played I've played a little bit of them, but like I don't think I've ever finished a Metroid game. So I'm not like super in touch with the story and the lore there. But a movie would be a nice way to get into that.
Do you think that Brie Larson is going to explode after Captain Marvel?
Probably. I kind of hope so, honestly. I've seen her in some indie movies she's done before, like Captain Marvel, obviously. And I think she's a great actress, so it would be cool. Especially, like, right now, Nintendo is sort of... they're trying to make, like, a cinematic universe almost. Like, not...
They really are.
Not
they have
really.
The Mario movie, they got the Zelda TV show going on. They're pumping things out, supposedly.
Yeah, so they're making movies and TV shows based on a lot of their like biggest properties. So Metroid seems like a no-brainer to me. And if somebody with like the star power of Brie Larson, especially the star power she's going to have after Captain Marvel, is like on board to do this, like why not do it?
And she can like she on Instagram. Like, all leading up to Captain Marvel, she was posting, like, videos of her at the gym getting, like, jacked. So she is, like, ready to be an action star. She's not going to, like, be... I mean, I'm sure she's going to have a stunt double, but, I mean, she is, like, ready to do an action-based movie, which I assume is what Captain Marvel will be.
Yeah.
But I think she's a great choice for it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a better choice off the top of my head, but maybe it's because I've already, like, envisioned this version of the character, so I don't know, but... Anyway, I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
The bigger news story from last week was BlizzCon 2018.
BlizzCon.
Did you get to watch any of the live stream?
Not really. I don't care a lot about Blizzard games. I know that they're a big deal. Like the next Game Informer cover is all about like an old, like one of the announcements. But I don't know. Blizzard has never really been my thing. I know you're super into Overwatch, but... in general, I've like of all the cons, this is not one that I usually catch the live streams of.
Yeah, so I'm also not a super big like Blizzard guy. I do love Overwatch, And so I was interested to see what they were going to announce for that. But an interesting thing that they announced was that Destiny 2 is going to be free on PC because Destiny is through the Battle.net launcher.
Yeah.
So as long as you have that, which is free, you can download Destiny 2 for free until November 18th.
Which is crazy. And I think it's the first 2 expansions as well, right?
I don't know about that, actually.
I think it's everything up until Forsaken, so it makes you buy Forsaken once you complete all the things you get for free.
Yeah, that would make sense. I know, like, I feel like this and when they made Destiny free on PlayStation 4 back in September, those are smart moves because it'll get people starting to play. Like, it's an entry, and then they'll hook people and get them to buy, like, the Season Pass and the Forsaken DLC. But it's nice for the people who actually do that because they, like, the price of entry has now dropped significantly. So it's a good move all around, and I downloaded it just because, like, I don't plan on, like, buying the Forsaken DLC and the Season Pass again on PC. Like, I'll probably just keep playing my PS4 version, but Destiny 2 runs so nicely on my computer. It's so smooth, and so, like, the uncapped frame rate of it is something to behold. So
yeah, I mean, all the streamers are playing on PS4 or on PC these days. So, like, whenever I watch Datto, for instance, it looks markedly different from whenever I'm playing on PS4.
Yeah, you can, like, anytime you watch a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer, like, you can tell right away when they're playing on PC versus console. It's a dramatic difference. And I've actually, because I'm a dork, I pulled it up since I have a dual screen computer monitor situation, and I have my PS4 hooked up to my secondary monitor. I pulled up Destiny 2 running on my PS4 and my computer, like, side by side, just to, like, compare.
You're dual wielding Destiny.
I was dual wielding Destiny, and yeah, it's pretty insane. It's not just that, like, the lighting and textures and the resolution is better, but also that frame rate makes a lot of difference. And that's kind of like what my hope is for, like, the next console generation. We can get into this, like, another time probably, but I want them to make it so that like, you have more, like, PC based control of, like, your visual when you're playing a game. Yeah. So hopefully that's what will happen. Anyway, I guess we can kind of breeze through some of the rest of the BlizzCon stuff since it's not really either of our thing.
Well, you have a lot to talk about the new Overwatch stuff.
Yeah, I'll end on Overwatch. So, like, Warcraft 3 is getting a remaster called Warcraft 3 Reforged, which is releasing next year. There's a new Diablo game, but it's a mobile game and people hate it. There's, like, a whole big stink about how people wanted them to announce Diablo 4, and instead they got up on stage and they're like, we worked really hard on this, we're really excited to show this off, we want you to be excited about it. And then it was a mobile game that looks not great, and it looks basically like any other. Like, there are already probably approximately 1 million mobile games that look like Diablo or like what they showed off. So it was, like, not exciting at all. And the reason why I think this made people so mad, not just because they decided not to announce Diablo 4, even though everyone basically knows it's in development, but like, Bethesda has done something similar where they announced Fallout Shelter, but they did it after. They were like, in the meantime, while you wait for Fallout 4, here's this mobile game we made. Or,
what a good E3
like, this last E3, they were like, here's, what is that, Elder Scrolls Blades?
Yeah.
They're like, here's this Elder Scrolls game we made, and we want you to be excited about it, and here's a little bit about it. And then, but after that, they were like, here's a tease for Elder Scrolls, which is in development. So that kind of, like, took some of the sting out of it, and people were not mad about it.
It's a weird venue because Blizzard is a pretty PC-facing company, like World of Warcraft obviously is a juggernaut and you can only play it on PC. And Diablo, even though it's on consoles now, and I believe it just came out on Switch, is also like kind of a PC thing. And it's weird that they decided to announce this on stage at BlizzCon, like to the audience that is all about PC. Yeah. There's a meme of this guy that got up. Like the first news story I saw about this was about the guy that got up during the Q&A who said, like, straight face, like, is this an out of season April Fool's joke? And then everyone cheered for him, and the guys on stage were just like pulling their collars a little bit. But it's weird because another thing is that I don't think that Blizzard is even really making this. Like, they're in charge of the assets, but I believe they partnered with a Chinese company called like NetEase or something, who has made a ton of these types of games. All around, it's just a weird. I mean, it could very well be they're tapping into that child market that play Fortnite on phones, and they're trying to like get in on that business.
Well, so that's the thing. Like, this is why the guy that stood up and made that comment was kind of a douche, because, like, obviously, them developing a mobile version of Diablo did not stop them from continuing to work on the next Diablo. Mm-hmm. And
yeah, they came out and said after the fact, like, we have multiple projects in the works.
Yeah, well, and also, like, the developers are, they're working hard to make stuff for people to enjoy. Like, obviously, there was that big story about Rockstar and how, like, long hours they've worked. Mm-hmm. So, like, this guy just being, like, an entitled PC player was kind of, not the best look. But anyway, they probably could have gone about announcing this in a much better way, but I don't know. Neither of us are like Diablo guys, so
yeah, not really.
This whole like whether it's okay or whether they should have announced it or whether they should have made it in the first place is kind of not for us to argue. But
I have a question for you. What kind of game would you play on your phone as like a serious game? Is it? I don't think it's a first-person shooter or a third-person shooter. As much as like Fortnite is super in these days, I still find using touch controls not great for any kind of thing where you need to like traverse.
It depends on whether they enable like Bluetooth controller support so that I could just use like a Moga.
Yeah, but even then, you're not going to like, if you're just like on the bus or like at work, you're not going to have, if you just like pull your phone out, you're probably not going to bring your controller.
Yeah, well, and that's why I think maybe that like Elder Scrolls Blades game is like more getting to like the strengths of like the mobile platform, where it's something that you can play in either portrait mode or landscape. You can play it one-handed, but it's getting closer to like a full-on game. It's not like this compromised thing, and it's also not like the controls of it aren't super intense so that you need like two hands and there's all these virtual buttons and you have to like two virtual thumbsticks, one to move your character, one to move your view and all of that. Like when you have a game like that, it's basically to the point where virtual controls and touchscreen, it's just like not ideally suited to that sort of a thing. And I agree. Like I'm with you.
There's controls on screen.
I'm with you on not liking touch screen controls for like the primary input for most games, but I don't know. Like I play a lot of Pokemon Go, and we'll talk more about that later. But that's also one of those games that's like not super like control intensive. Like you don't need two hands on your screen basically ever to play that game. And I feel like maybe Elder Scrolls Blades will be kind of similar to that, where the controls are much easier to deal with when you just have one hand free. So I guess games like that. I don't know, what's another game that is big on mobile?
I'm trying to think of like the last game I was super into on my phone, besides like Words with Friends, but have you ever heard of a game called Rhymed Capsule? I don't know if I'm saying it right.
No. That
was a game, man, this was years ago. I don't know how many years ago, but I still own it, I guess. It was like a weird, what kind of game is Age of Empires?
Real-time strategy?
Yeah, it was like a real-time strategy almost. It was like a kind of a resource management game. And it was the art style was very cool and the music was very good. And I played that for like 2 weeks while I was trying to figure out how to get like a perfect game. But yeah, I don't really know. Like I hate having controls on screen, and that means that your level of interactivity with the world, whatever it is, has to be minimal. Or I don't know. No one has really cracked like excellent controls for mobile yet, I think.
Well, so here's the thing, like that, I think it's it's either the Razer phone or the, I forget the other one. There's another gaming phone out there. One of them has these like touch sensitive things on like the side of the phone that you can like map any buttons to. So that you don't have to have your fingers on screen to do things. And then like, so if you're playing like a racing game, like the Asphalt 8, or no, that was the last one I played. But anyway, I think there's a newer one. The Asphalt racing games are like really good on mobile, because you can also use like the gyroscope or whatever it's called to like turn and stuff. Or you can just use like a joystick basically to control your car as well. Yeah. But like those, like the touch controls are simple enough that, so you don't have to do a lot of button pressing, and there's not a lot of systems to work with. So a game like that works pretty well. But yeah, if you want to play a game on mobile, you almost have to buy like a phone that's like the Razer phone or something that has these extra buttons, or like get some sort of Bluetooth adapter type of a thing. So you have to like be willing to go all in on that type of a thing. And I'm not sure mobile games are there yet to want that.
Here's a question. Stardew Valley is released for Android. Do you think that even that is just like the fact that I can't feel the buttons being pressed? I don't know if I would be that into it, you know?
Yeah, I'm curious how that's going to work. I don't think they've shown any actual gameplay of it running on a phone yet, so I don't know quite what the control scheme is going to look like. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's on Switch, so like, why do I need it? Why would you get it on? Yeah, why would I get it on my phone? But I mean, I guess, you know, you may not have your Switch with you at all times, and Stardew Valley is the kind of game that you can like pick up and play in like small increments. I guess it depends on how well they handle like rest mode on a mobile
I was
device.
Just thinking that, yeah, like how quickly can you get back into the game?
Yeah, and like, can you just like be in the middle of it and sort of pause it and just like close out and go do something else on your phone, and then like an hour or two later when you have another minute, like pull your phone back out and relaunch the app? Will it still be there? Like, how is it going to handle sort of short-term saving?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
And that's the other thing is like, I sometimes will not play games on my phone just because like my phone is like 3 years old and the battery is like failing. So I don't want to do anything like super intense. I mean, I look at the internet all the time, but like, I don't want to whip out something that's going to like really burn through battery in a short amount of time, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the answer is if it's on Switch, just play it on Switch.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. Mobile is fine for a certain type of game. And maybe like those strategy games like you were mentioning, like I know there's like a ton of those. And
like I would play Into the Breach on my phone.
Yeah, I can see that working. That's simple enough. But like I'm not super into strategy games like that, so like it's not really my thing. Yeah. So I don't know. Other than Pokemon Go, I really don't play any games on my phone. Mm-hmm. If I'm gonna play a game, I want a controller. So basically, I'm going to play my Switch or my PS4, or I want a mouse and keyboard, and I'm gonna play on PC. And if those games are like, even if it's something like Fortnite or PUBG, I have played some PUBG on mobile, but like if I can just play it on my computer, like I'm gonna have so much of a better time with it, and I'm gonna enjoy the controls of it so much more. That
this also could be a generational thing, because like we grew up and I didn't get my first like Nokia cell phone until I was in like high school, but children these days
That's
grew
true.
up just like constantly touching iPads and touchscreens. So maybe touchscreens are just more second nature for them, and they don't care that there's not that like force feedback of a physical controller.
Yeah, that could be as well. That's a very interesting thing to think about. Somebody needs to do like an in-depth piece about that, like write that story. But yeah, I mean, good point. And there have been developers who have said that like there will be console quality games on mobile, and there's a market for it. More people have a smartphone than have like PS4s and Switches and Xboxes. So
I think the main thing people don't like about mobile is that it's notorious for like predatory microtransactions that like, you know, you leave your kid alone with a game and suddenly he's racked up like $300 worth of like, oh, he had to buy all these cookies in this game that costs real money.
Yeah.
And it's like very not well policed in general, even on like the App Store on Apple. And if there start being like console quality games, and I don't know, there's just gonna have to be
a
some
lot
sort
of
of
that
reckoning.
has to do with the fact that people are used to spending like $30 to $60 on a game if it's for a console, but you can't ask for that on a mobile device. People won't pay it.
Have they talked about pricing for Diablo Immortal? Is it going to be free to play, or is it going to be like I don't know.
I haven't seen that information yet. I'm not sure if they've announced it or not, but
that's something that would give me hope. If they were like, hey, guess what? This game for your phone is $40. Then I would be like, oh, interesting. I wonder if it's not going to have terrible microtransactions.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like people won't pay it because I remember when Nintendo released the Super Mario Run on mobile, like they gave you the first like set of levels for free, but beyond that you had to pay $10 to unlock the rest of the game. So you basically had like a demo of the game until you paid for the rest of it, and people did not like that. And that was not like a $30 asking price, that was like $10.
That's a good point.
Which is not a lot when you're in the grand scheme, when you think about games and the amount of time you spend with them and the amount it costs to make them. If people won't pay for a $10 like Mario game, I have a hard time believing, especially considering the reaction to Diablo mobile. I have a hard time believing that even like the Diablo faithful are gonna shell out like $40 to play a mobile version of Diablo.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. They didn't talk about a release date either, did they?
I don't think so. I think there's like gonna be a beta for it, maybe. From what I've heard, it's looking pretty rough right now. It was playable at BlizzCon, and people were not super impressed by what they played. But I think it's probably gonna come out next year. I don't know. That's just a guess. Don't take my word on that. I don't know the actual release date. So,
well, let's talk about something that is generally there were positive things about Overwatch.
Yeah, so there was a new McCree animated short that was very cool looking, had a bunch of potentially new characters, including one that is officially a new character, which is a nice way to intro a new character, just have them in one of the animated shorts and then be like, oh yeah, by the way, this cool character that looks really interesting is actually going to be playable. So her name is Ashe, and she's the leader of the Dreadlock Gang, which is not really significant. I don't really know anything about the actual story of Overwatch. It's there if you want it, but basically I'm excited because it's kind of a cool looking new character. She seems kind of, she's got that whole Western vibe. So she has like a repeater rifle that you can ADS with, and you can use it to shoot.
So it's like, is it like Widowmaker kind of, where like it's an assault rifle, but then you can zoom in and it does more damage as a single shot?
I think it's single shot all the time, but you can, the sight of it isn't really like a sniper scope. It's a little bit more like a red dot sight.
Right.
And I don't know. We didn't see much of it. I didn't get to see, like, there's gameplay of it you can track down if you really want to, but it seemed to me that it was a single shot the whole time.
Interesting.
And yeah, you can ADS with it. I don't think it's going to hit as hard as like a sniper rifle, but you can...
Is it like a Hanzo maybe?
Yeah, maybe something more akin to that. I think maybe it does do more damage. I'm not sure exactly. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but it looks pretty cool, and you can use it to shoot the ground to jump higher, which is a very what's her name? The jetpack character.
Oh, Farah?
Yeah, it's a very Farah thing to be able to like shoot objects and like sort of push yourself around the map.
Yeah.
Her E ability is tossing like a bundle of dynamite that will either explode after a certain amount of time, or you can shoot it to detonate it like in the air. So that's pretty cool. And then her ultimate ability is calling a robot named Bob, who is in the animated short if you want to know more about that character. And basically he jumps into the fray and starts knocking enemies around and has these like crazy looking wrist mounted guns that he's like shooting people with.
I'm very interested to see this working in action. Is it sort of like, what's the name of the big guy with the hammer?
Oh, Reinhardt?
Is it like a Reinhardt thing where you activate it and he just like pushes out in front of you and everyone in a line is thrown up and then he shoots you in the air? Or is he jumping around a little bit the battlefield?
He jumps in a little more like Winston, using his like little jump move where like when he hits the ground he kind of like pushes people around a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then after that he's basically a robot that like shoots all around. I don't know if he's gonna like auto lock onto targets or if he's just kind of like spraying wildly, or
does he need to be aimed, or does he have some sort of AI?
I feel like he probably has some sort of AI. That's just a guess. I've seen a little bit of gameplay, but it's been a little while. We're recording this almost a week after BlizzCon happened, so my memory's a little fuzzy on it. I'll link to some gameplay of it. I'll find some because I know it's out there. It looks really cool to me, and the animated short is worth checking out as well because their animated shorts are really cool. If you haven't seen any of them, I saw a tweet because it starts out like sort of a close up on a piece of pie, and you see like a fork come in and like cut off a piece of like a bite, and then you hear some stuff going on in the background, and you eventually see McCree stand up and walk away from his piece of pie or whatever. But just like somebody did a GIF of the fork like cutting through the pie and like all the crumbles on it. Like it's very, very detailed animation and it looks really good. Made me want some apple pie. But yeah, anyway, check that stuff out. I'm always a little bit excited for new characters. I guess I don't play a lot of like the assault class characters, but I kind of like them, so I'll probably check this one out. Because it's, you know, you ADS and you're going to be rewarded for headshots, I would assume. There's probably a little bit more of a skill gap to this character, but it seems pretty fun, so I kind of want to check it out. I think it is live on the PTR right now, actually.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I definitely am going to go check it out and see what people are doing with the new character.
Yeah, I'm sure like people will get crazy good with the character, so I'm curious to see how it stacks up against some of the other characters as well, so... Anyway, I think that's about all from BlizzCon. I guess there was a World of Warcraft Classic. Like, the game is going to go back to patch 1.12, I think is what it was, before the first expansion. So that'll be a thing you can play, I want to say, next year. And then there's like a new Hearthstone expansion as well. Neither of us really play Hearthstone, so...
No, I did for a while back in the day, but...
I guess that's a good mobile game.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mainly have played that on my iPad.
Yeah.
I guess card games are good.
I've given it a couple of shots. I like the game. I just don't play it a lot, and I'm not like super privy to like the best like cards, you know. And
yeah,
like,
you have to be up on the meta, and also you have to have gained those cards by either buying them or earning them. But earning them takes way longer than buying them.
Yeah, it's kind of a commitment, and you kind of gotta like seek out that information and put yourself in the know. But it's cool. It's a fun game to play. I don't think I've put in enough time to really wrap my head around everything. So it's not been a game I've spent too much time with.
Tell me about Niantic.
Yeah, Niantic has got a lot going on these days. So first, they are reviving Ingress, or there's like this massive refresh called Ingress Prime. That's sort of a soft reboot to the game. This was the game that Niantic launched before Pokemon Go. It's the game that sort of maybe inspired Pokemon Go a little bit. It's sort of the first AR game based on like Google Maps and walking around. I remember when the game launched and I was very interested in it. And then I think I downloaded it and I was very confused by it. And so I didn't play it again until Pokemon Go came out. And then I downloaded it again and Pokemon Go. And I was like trying them both out to see which one I liked better there for a while. I think it's interesting. It's a little bit more like hacking. So if you're like more into hackers and stuff like that, I love
hackers.
You'll probably enjoy Ingress. There's 2 factions, so you kind of like side with somebody or one of the 2 factions, and there's like a whole lore to it. There's a lot going on there that I don't know about because I have not really played much Ingress, but they refreshed the I want to say they refreshed the UI and just the overall look of the game to make it look a little bit more modern. And to celebrate that, in Pokemon Go, they have an Ingress event going on right now where 2 different Pokemon, we were trying to guess at how you say it correctly. It's either Ponyta or Ponyta and Cubone are spawning a lot more frequently in the wild right now, and one of them has a shiny that is green and the other one has a shiny that is blue, which is the 2 colors for the different factions in Ingress. So you have a chance at getting them, and they are spawning like crazy. So if that's a thing you're interested in, go do that. But on top of that, from now until like sometime next week, there's like this double Stardust event that's also happening where obviously every time you catch a Pokemon or you hatch an egg, you get like double Stardust for that, which is important because you need Stardust to trade or power up Pokemon. And interestingly, that will carry over into this weekend's Cyndaquil Community Day, which I think in and of itself also does double Stardust. So basically you'll be getting quadruple Stardust or something like that. So it would be a very good time to go out and play some Pokemon this weekend. Also, in Pokemon Go, a feature I'm very, very excited about that I didn't want to miss is Pokemon Go Adventure Sync.
Oh, what is that?
This is a game changer, if you ask me. This is a thing I've been wanting essentially since the game launched, and that is that it will sync up with your Google Fit or if you're on Android, or Apple Health if you're on iPhone. And it basically, so the way Pokemon Go works is it's not really a step counter. It doesn't count your steps. It's all based on distance traveled, and it's not real great at tracking that distance sometimes. So what this will do, like, I think you can't have the game running as you're like walking to like track steps, because if you do that, it's going to try to like gather information on distance traveled from the game natively, the way it normally does. So you'll need to have that closed if you want. But basically what this allows you to do is, like, if it's, you know, winter and it's too cold, or it's summer and it's too hot and you want to stay indoors and you want to like walk on a treadmill, or you just like, you know, walk around the house, whatever, like as you're gaining steps, Google Fit and Apple Health, I think, will sort of translate that into distance, which Pokemon Go will then pick up, and that will translate into distance in the game.
This is a game changer, because like the main thing that stops people from playing Pokemon Go is their battery runs out, because they just have to have their phone out with the screen on as they're walking around. But now you can be hatching eggs left and right.
Yeah, and I also will use like the buddy system to like gain a bunch of candy so that I can evolve a certain type of Pokemon to add them to my Pokedex, because there's a lot that are very rare and so I don't see very much of them. So being able to sort of make a lot of progress on that, just for like if I were to walk on a treadmill or, you know, walk around throughout the day, even if I don't have the game open, I'm still making progress on that in the background. So that's nice. So yeah, this is a feature I've wanted basically since they released Pokemon Go. It's a game changer, in my opinion. It makes walking your buddy to get candy and hatching eggs so much easier. It basically makes it so that when you do walk on a treadmill, or if you exercise by, walking around the house, that's a good way to still like get exercise, but now it will finally sort of show up as progress in the game. So very good, very cool. Very exciting, and it has gotten me to get up and be more active lately. So, because they also, I should mention, they have these sort of 3 tiers of like milestones. So like when you get to 5 kilometers, I think it's like 20 kilometers and then 50 kilometers. At the end of the week, if you've made it all that way, you'll get like a whole bunch of stuff for doing that. So more rewards, more things to do. It's very cool to me, and I like it a lot.
Gotta get a Fitbit.
Well, I think it doesn't actually work with Fitbit.
Oh.
So I think the things you need to know, I think you can import your Fitbit data through like a Fitbit importer if you have it maybe synced with something. Actually, I don't know. I'm trying to read the post on Pokemon Go Hub, which I will link to, but they end that section by saying, sorry, Fitbit users. So I would imagine it doesn't work well with that. The other thing is Samsung Health does not work with Adventure Sync. Oh. So I think it is basically just Google Fit and Apple Health.
Well, maybe support will come later on.
Perhaps. Could be. Anyway, why don't you tell me about a new Zelda?
Zach, we talked about the TV show that is maybe going to happen last week, but this week it seems as though Nintendo Japan has posted 2 new job ads on their official site for a Legend of Zelda game. There is a 3D CG designer who will be tasked with topography creation for use in dungeons, as well as level and concept designs for dungeons. And also a job listing for a more broad level designer responsible for more generalized game content, such as enemies, world design, and more dungeon design planning. So we already knew that this was like in the works, because Breath of the Wild was, there's always going to be a new Zelda in the works. Right. But now we officially have confirmation that sometime down the line there is going to be a new Zelda, which is great to hear, because I can't wait to see what they do differently for the next one. There's always an interesting new thing with Zelda games, and I am very interested to see if they do sort of an Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask thing, where it's the same engine but a vastly different game, or if it's completely different and they go in a wild direction. So it'll probably be years and years, unfortunately. But
what do you want to see?
I don't know. Breath of the Wild was pretty great. Yeah. I guess I would like a more dense Breath of the Wild. We're playing Red Dead Redemption 2 right now, and that's just like chock full. There were times when Breath of the Wild felt a little empty. It was always very beautiful, and the music was amazing, and everything about it was great. But I don't know. Here's another thing. Breath of the Wild didn't have the classic gadgets you get. There was no hookshot. There's no a thing about Zelda is like you acquire these gadgets that increase your skill set and your mobility. So that would be interesting if there was if they added the hookshot and boomerang. I guess there was a boomerang. There was just an interesting spin on things.
Now, let me ask you this. So will this coincide with the TV show?
Almost definitely not, I would say.
Really?
I don't know. The TV show, I think, is more American based, I want to say.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And also, I have no idea. Like, since they're hiring people, that says to me that they're very early on in the development cycle.
That's probably unfortunately true as well.
Breath of the Wild took a very long time because they wanted it to be great, and that ended up being great. I think Miyamoto has a quote that is attributed to him, but I don't know if it's true. Might be apocryphal, where he says like something along the lines of a rushed game. What is it? Like a delayed game will eventually be good, but a rushed game will forever be bad, or something like that. So they know to take their time.
Yeah.
But it's on the way. And this leads me into the next thing, which I just added. Last Game Awards was where they announced the second DLC. We saw the first footage of the second DLC for Legend of Zelda. And then afterwards, they were like, guess what? It's available right now. The Game Awards is right around the corner. I believe it's December 6th or 7th. I wanted to speculate a little bit on what you think the crazy reveals are going to be. Do you think there's going to be a thing day of that is going to pop? Like, do you think there's going to be like Mario DLC, like new worlds in Mario? That's my dream. That's what I want to happen.
I would love for that to be the case. I don't know if they have more plans to do anything with Mario Odyssey. It feels like a long ways away from the actual release of the game for them to add stuff at this point. But yeah, I mean, I want them to. I would love it if they would do that. But we're over a year after the game's release.
Yeah.
I don't know if they haven't mentioned anything. Like, I don't think anybody is like waiting on like, you know, more content for that game, or like there's definitely not like a season pass is there to that. So
what do you think? Do you think? Like,
I mean, what else came out this year? Like, not a lot, honestly. Like last year,
it doesn't have to be DLC. It could be a whole new thing. Like, it could be a demo for Death Stranding. Jeff Keighley is like super into.
Well, but that's PlayStation. Were you talking like in general or just for like Nintendo?
No, just in general.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it could be like, what if they brought Kojima and he just like did this extended demo where he was actually playing the game, or like, I guess I don't know that there's online. Is there online features? Did they say
there is? And they said it's going to be it's a very interesting implementation, but they have not revealed what it is.
Maybe they reveal that.
I feel like they have set a high bar last year, and this year there has to be a thing where they show something that blows everyone's mind, and then they're like, it's available now. Do you think that's asking for too much, or do you think they realize they did that last year and they're going to try to do it this year?
I mean, I hope so. I just don't know what it would be. Like, who would be the one dropping the night of thing, too?
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question.
I guess, like, they might drop, like, day of, like, Spider-Man DLC.
But that's all planned out, though.
Yeah. Oh, you want something, like, nobody knows of yet.
I mean, that Zelda 2 DLC blew me away. That was something where I was like, oh my god. And then there was the motorcycle in that video also, and I was like, what is happening?
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of, like, I want them to have something like that, but I don't know that they will. I mean, Zelda had come out so early on in the year.
Yeah.
That, like, by the time the Game Awards showed up, you're like, well, it's about time they release some sort of DLC. And so it made sense for them to be like, it's ready now, also.
Also, like, so I started following Jeff Keighley on Twitter, and he's been very interactive with people. Like, what do you want to see? This whole year, he's been like, what do you want to see with the next Game Awards? Like, do you want more reveals? Do you want more musical acts? Do you want more awards? And a lot of people have been saying, like, more reveals. And he's been canvassing, and like he said cryptic stuff like I can't believe the things that we're going to reveal at the Game Awards. And obviously some of that is just like to drum up hype, but I like to believe that he has such good relationship with people because he's been around for so long. He's got to have at least one or two things that'll be pretty impressive. I mean, this is like the winter version of E3 almost. Like, it's being built up. This is pretty much the last show of the year, you know?
It's true.
And it's right before Christmas.
Yeah, and it has sort of become more of like almost a like platform to have these big sort of announcements.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good point. We should start speculating as to what we're gonna see there. Also, because we're getting closer to the year, or closer to the end of the year, I wanted to ask you, and I'm going to have to look up a list here, but I wanted to ask you if you thought this year or last year was the better year for releases, because now that we're getting towards the end of it, I'm realizing how many big games are coming out and how many... Yeah. I would think, just based on memory, maybe last year, but let me maybe go through the months.
Odyssey came out last year. That's the only thing I can think of. What else came out last year?
Super Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild. So let me go through... this was last year. I'm going to see if I...
Wait, I thought Breath of the Wild was 2 years old.
No, that was last year. Was it not last year?
I don't remember.
Hold on. Yeah, no, it was last year, because it was the same year that the Switch launched.
I've only had my Switch for a year?
That is...
Or no.
That is true. It came out in 2017, crazy. Right?
I guess. I don't remember. We should know this.
We should. Well, so I'm going to go through it right now. I've pulled up a list. Let me... this is on Wikipedia, so they're not in any order, and I'm not making any sort of like quality statements about these. I'm just gonna list some games, and then we can sort of go off of like what we think is better or whatever. So let me see. In January, we had Yakuza 0 came out on PS4. The Resident Evil 7, I remember being a big deal.
Yeah. In
February, there was... Neo came out. For Honor came out. Oh, I forgot For Honor came out last year. Halo Wars 2, Hollow Knight.
People like that.
Horizon Zero Dawn on PS4. Then
Breath of the Wild on the same day.
It was, I think, a couple days later, because that was in February. Now we're into March. So yeah, the Switch came out, and with it came Breath of the Wild. And then Nier Automata came out shortly after that. And then Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, Mass Effect Andromeda. So the highs and the lows. Persona 5 came out in April. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on Switch.
Oh, yeah.
I played a good amount of that.
Yeah, I did too.
That Prey game came out. Do you remember that game?
Oh, yeah.
That was that was a pretty big game.
Yeah.
Injustice 2, a fighting game. Oh, that's Star Trek Bridge Crew game.
Oh, yeah.
Tekken 7, another fighting game. Next Machina, we did a blind spotting on that.
I remember that. It was one of our first videos.
It was. That was an early one. That Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy came out.
Yeah.
This is going to pick up when we get later on in the year. I'm only to July. Splatoon 2 came out. That Lone Echo, I think, VR game came out.
Yes, that's a very good game.
Yeah. Tacoma, which is an Xbox arcade game that I heard a lot about last year. Yeah. Oh, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice came out. Lawbreakers came out, another low point.
Yeah.
Agents of Mayhem. Nidhogg 2. Sonic Mania.
Oh, that was great. I loved Sonic Mania.
Absolver. Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
A great game.
Yakuza Kiwami. Knack 2. Destiny 2. Meh. Dishonored, Death of the Outsider. Was that a DLC or was that a standalone?
Yeah, I think it was a DLC for Dishonored 2.
SteamWorld Dig 2. We did a blind spotting on that game as well. I liked that game a lot. Ruiner? I remember hearing about that game, but I never played it.
That was like a bullet hell game, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. Cuphead.
Oh yeah, that was last year.
I kept meaning to do a blind spotting on that one, and maybe we'll return to that and do that at some point. But
I mean, the DLC's right around the corner. Ooh, maybe that's going to be revealed at the Game Awards. Maybe they'll reveal the Cuphead 2 DLC.
That would actually be a good timing to drop that one. Just be like, here it is, and it's ready to go.
Yeah. And it's on Switch.
Oh, that would be amazing. It won't be. It won't be, but that would be amazing.
No, that would be so good.
Battle Chasers Night War. I've heard of that game, but I never played it. Somewhere in here. Oh, yeah. Middle Earth Shadow of War. That was a big one. Assassin's Creed Origins. Super Mario Odyssey. And Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. All three of which dropped on the same day.
Man, that is crazy.
I remember that. That was a crazy weekend.
Didn't they say they were taking a break from doing yearly Assassin's Creed?
They did. That's why I remember when we saw like they were going to have an Assassin's Creed. Like there was that leak on like Amazon that showed an Assassin's Creed title.
Oh yeah, the Amazon Canada or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Or no, Walmart Canada.
Yeah, and we were like trying to figure out like what it all meant. I remember we did a video on it, and I did not believe that it was going to be a new Assassin's Creed game, specifically because they said they weren't doing yearly releases anymore. Then Call of Duty World War II, a new Pokemon game on 3DS, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Skyrim came out on PSVR and Nintendo Switch, The Sims 4 came out on PS4 and Xbox One, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Some of these I can't tell if they're like repeats that just like came out on a different system later or not, but I think that might be it. So keep those in mind, and now I'm going to go through 2018.
Okay.
So in January, there was a couple of like indie games, Iconoclast and Celeste. Do you remember that?
Yeah, Celeste. I watched someone play a bunch of that on Twitch.
Yeah, those were pretty big releases back in January, but not as big as Dragon Ball FighterZ and Monster Hunter World, which both came out, I think, the same weekend in January.
Yeah, you got super into Monster Hunter.
I did. I played it for months, I think, in the early part of the year. Night in the Woods, that's another sort of arcadey, like smaller release, like an indie release that was pretty big. Bayonetta came out on Switch.
Yeah, I played that. It was great.
Did you? Oh, yeah. We were going to do a blind spotting.
Yeah, I could never get the footage, but I had a ton of... Actually, you know what? I never beat it. I got very close to the end, and I think something else came out. I should go back to that.
Yeah. Oh, did I mention Divinity Original Sin 2 came out last year? I only remember that because I was thinking of going back to it recently, but I haven't gotten around to it. Anyway, back to 2018, February... There was Metal Gear Survive. That was not a good game.
Yeah, nobody cares about that. Unfortunately. That Moss game, that like mouse game that I want to say was... PSVR.
Yeah, PSVR. Warhammer Vermintide 2. I remember that being a big deal on Twitch for a while.
Yeah. It's like Left 4 Dead, but in a crazy Warhammer universe.
Yeah. Then Ghost of a Tale. I remember you telling me about that game.
Oh, man, I forgot about that. I should check on the next Steam sale if that's available, because I really want to play that.
You definitely should. Actually, I want to say it's free through that Origin thing that I have.
Oh,
I should download it. Sea of Thieves came out.
Mm-hmm.
A Way Out, that co-op game.
Man, I completely forgot about that.
I
I forgot about Unravel 2 as well.
Oh, yeah, Unravel 2 came out, I want to say, probably around the same time. Far Cry 5 came out. Long Gone Days, which we did not finish our playthrough of.
Which one was that? Oh, that was the anime sniper one,
that was
right?
the anime sniper one that we started a Let's Play of and never finished.
I would be interested to see, did you get more into that and like figure out what the overall plot was? Because the plot to that seemed very interesting.
No, that's another game I've been meaning to go back to, but I have not had a chance to do so yet. In April, God of War came out. We started a Let's Play of that we never finished as well. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze came out on Switch. See, this is why the Switch hasn't had a huge year. It's smaller games like that, and I think that was a port from the Wii U as well.
Yeah, they had fixes for it. Like, they had that Funky Kong mode where it was basically playing the game for you.
Yeah, where it was like easy mode.
Yeah. State
of Decay 2 came out. Dark Souls Remastered came out. Oh yeah, Fallout Shelter came out on PS4 and Nintendo Switch, which I remember now because I played a lot of it on Switch over the summer, about the same time that you and I both played through...
Oh, Last of Us?
Yeah. You remember?
Yeah, man, we burned through that game in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, we played it very quickly. And it was very cool. But I remember specifically, like, Fallout Shelter had come out, and I had started playing that. And then, like, shortly after that, there was a sale on that game, so you and I both played it.
Mm-hmm. That was great.
Hollow Knight came out...
For Switch.
Fortnite also came out on Switch. That horrible Jurassic World Evolution game came out.
Oh, yeah.
Mario Tennis Aces came out on Switch. The Crew 2, which we were going to do a video on and then we didn't get around to it. Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered Edition, which we did do a video on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we did a video on that.
Captain Toad Treasure Tracker.
I meant to get into that, but I just never bought it. It looked fun to me.
Yeah. And then Octopath Traveler came out. Sonic Mania Plus, was that DLC or just a new thing?
DLC, new characters, new mode.
Aha. Dead Cells came out in August. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, a bunch of people I watch on Twitch got very into it for a while. It's a great roguelike.
Yeah, it seemed really cool. Oh, and then that We Happy Few game. They look kind of Bioshocky.
Yeah, I was not super into that.
I was kind of curious about it, but I only wanted to watch people play it. I didn't want to actually play it myself. And Guacamelee 2. Into the Breach.
A great game.
Have you still been playing it?
I was actually playing it while I was waiting for you to get onto it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it's so easy. Just pop in, because it, like, no matter where you are when you leave the game, you're right back there. So you can just, like, play for any amount of time. It opens and closes so quickly. It's just, like, the perfect time waster game.
Mm-hmm. Then in September, there was the Forsaken DLC for Destiny 2. There was Spider-Man, Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Oh, yeah.
Forza Horizon 4, Mega Man 11, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Super Mario Party, Call of Duty Black Ops 4, Starlink Battle for Atlas, Soul Calibur 6, Red Dead Redemption 2, and then still to come, oh gosh, The Quiet Man, which I've seen some footage of and it looks awful.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about that since E3, and that was just like, I could not figure out what that was supposed to be.
There's some, I think even Game Informer was playing some of it during their Extra Life event that they had going on last week. And I've seen some other people playing it as well, and it just is terrible. For everything I've seen, it's probably the worst game of 2018.
Oh my god.
It's that bad. Anyway, that Tetris Effect game that looks really interesting to me is coming out in November. Fallout 76 and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee and Battlefield 5 and Darksiders 3.
Oh yeah, I'll pick that up. I played the first two.
And then in December, Just Cause 4 and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's about it for all the big ones that I am seeing from this list. I hope you were taking notes, because
I was not.
I'm now going to ask you, which year is the bigger year?
Well, it's hard to argue with the launch of a console.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that Switch came out, and we got a Zelda, and we got a Mario, and both of them were amazing entries. Like, zero other things could have come out last year, and it could still be pretty great. I mean,
definitely from Nintendo's perspective, last year was a much better year than this year.
The fact that we have Red Dead and Spider-Man and Black Ops and God of War.
Yeah. There were some heavy hitters this year on Sony's
There were
side.
a ton of heavy hitters this year. But again, like, a whole console came out last year. Like, the Switch was, and still is, a powerhouse, I feel like. Like, so many indie games. Like, I've read so many things where people who put out stuff on every console and PC are saying, like, oh man, my indie game is selling the best on Switch for whatever reason. Yeah. And it continues to do well. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I do say last year, because Zelda and Mario were both such solid games, and I love my Switch.
I think last year there might have been like higher highs with like Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, but like lower lows with like Mass Effect Andromeda and Destiny 2 and some of those games that were like super big disappointments. So maybe higher highs and lower lows last year. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. We can like, when we get to the end of the year, we can do like top fives or whatever.
We should. I definitely want to.
And maybe we can look at this a little bit more in depth, where I'll like actually make a list, so I don't have to like slowly read everything out, and it'll be better. But yeah, I just thought, I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, I want to challenge Capo to tell me which year he thought was better, but we can get more into it later. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll do like end of the year roundup things, especially after the Game Awards. We'll probably do like a pre-Game Awards, post-Game Awards type thing, because I'm sure there will be a ton of news from that as well.
So yeah, anyway, I just thought that would be interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting little exercise.
Yeah, so what have you been playing or watching this week?
Zach, this is just a brief thing. We've all seen that video of that man eating that watermelon. You've seen that, right?
No.
Old man video, how to eat a watermelon. He puts like marshmallows into it. He eats a whole watermelon.
I have not seen this, but I want to.
Really? It's a great video. I like to watch people eat things because I like the sound of it. But I had seen that video years and years ago, probably like 5 years ago.
You like the sound of people eating stuff?
Yeah.
Are you an ASMR guy?
I don't know. I like to watch videos of dogs licking things. Does that make me an ASMR guy?
I think it might.
Or do I just like dogs?
I think it might actually, because there's a lot of people that can't stand the sound of people like eating things or like licking or like lip smacking, that kind of thing. So you might be an ASMR guy.
Who can say? Anyway, this is a great video of an old man eating a watermelon and telling you how to do it by eating little troughs into it and then putting marshmallows in that trough. Anyway, I watched that video like 5 years ago, didn't think anything of it. Then this week, he posted another video, and I realized this man, who goes by Feature Man on YouTube, has just been posting videos like every day for years. He has like over 1,000 videos, and they're really weird. Like, some of them are just him sitting at his computer talking about the stock market. Some of them are him dressed as a cowboy doing covers of songs at his piano. A majority of them are him being like, here is a $3 lunch you can make. Just make a bunch of macaroni. I got this macaroni for $1. And then dump a bunch of tuna fish into it. I got this for $1. And then throw some pumpkin pie M&Ms in there. Every one of his recipes includes like raisins or pumpkin pie M&Ms, and it doesn't make any sense. He'll like put pumpkin pie M&Ms on pizza. But anyway, it's this insane old man who sings and I guess was in a bunch of old movies, but I've been watching all of his just like crazy cooking things, and it's really improved my day. So go check out Feature Man on YouTube. But what about you, Zach? Have you been watching anything?
Not lately, because I've been busy with like school stuff, but also I've been playing a lot of Red Dead, so I haven't made a lot of time for watching stuff. But I'm definitely going to check out this thing just because it seems kind of funny and interesting. Yeah,
I'll send it to you after we get done
recording. Yeah, you should definitely do that. But I think we need to move on to your parting wisdom for the week.
Zach, the best way to eat a watermelon is to cut little troughs in it with a spoon, and then...
That's somebody else's parting wisdom.
Let's see. What do I know? I find that I'm just sort of talking and trying and hoping that I come up with something.
Sometimes you start a sentence and even you don't know where it's going.
KFC has great mashed potatoes.
We're gonna end up starting like a fast food segment for you.
I love... Oh, that's a good point. Hold on, let me look at my fast food blog.
You keep a fast food blog?
Yes.
I didn't know this.
No, I mean, it's not... I don't maintain it.
Oh.
But I just have like a bunch of things I look at. There was something that I thought was newsworthy that happened recently. Ooh, IHOP is whipping up a crazy-looking Grinch green pancake for the release of the new Grinch movie. So everybody should go eat that.
I'm more of a Perkins guy.
Yeah, I have to agree.
But
it's better. Actually, don't go to IHOP.
Yeah, go to Perkins and imagine that what you're eating is green. And then maybe
that's some great wisdom.
And then maybe go to that movie. I don't know. Maybe don't even go to the movie.
Just go get some pancakes. Yeah, that's my wisdom for the night.
Basically, go eat pancakes. And is it time to start listening to Christmas music and watching Christmas movies and stuff like that yet?
I feel like after Thanksgiving is when you should do that.
So yeah, it depends on who you talk to, but you're either an after Thanksgiving person or like as soon as November rolls around, it's like time. I guess they're already playing Christmas music on the radio, but
are they?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems a little early for me. I might wait like another week or two, but definitely go to Perkins and eat some pancakes. Not a sponsor. I just think you should eat pancakes. because they're tasty.
Not a sponsor yet.
Yet. Maybe one day. But that's going to do it for this episode of Starside Chat. If you have any questions, comments, or topics of discussion, send them to us at starsidecafe@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at starsidecafe, and we will catch you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.